Hello, everyone. I'm Agymah, and this is my world. Thank you for joining me. So today, I have a good friend of mine I've met when I returned back to Boston about 7 years ago. Really cool brother, and I wanted to invite him on my channel, and he also wanted to be on my channel because he was watching my videos. And this is a brother that I really admire and look up to because he's one of these black men that has a successful marriage. So I wanted to bring him on because I know there's a lot of people who think I'm against marriage. I am not against marriage. I've been saying that. I've come from a family where I grew up with a mom and dad, and I've seen nothing but good things going on in the household. And even though I was married twice and they didn't work out, I do believe in marriage, but not for me. Okay, so let's get started, and we're gonna interview, like I said, this cool brother. His name is Brooke. So let's get started. Brooke, how's it going, my friend?
Well, man, it's good to have me. Thank you so much for interviewing me. I appreciate you inviting me on your channel.
No. I appreciate you coming here, and being on my channel. Well, one of the first things I want to ask you is like, so how long have you been married?
So my wife and I just celebrated 20 years, actually, December 2nd, 2020. That was so we were married to December 2nd, 2000, excuse me. So yeah, 20 years.
Oh, okay, good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because one thing I always remembered about you, and when I spoke to you, you were always saying positive things about marriage. I've never ever heard you say negative things. You were always saying positive things. And for me, I've been through a lot, and I'm pretty bitter at times. But when I hear people saying positive things, I I'm happy. I'm always happy to see that because I'm not gonna try to, because of what I've been through. I'm not gonna try to go into and tell other people what. Hey, don't. This is not gonna happen for you. This is not gonna work for you. I'm not that negative type. Even though it didn't work for me, I know it's possible for other couples and stuff. So again, I admire you from the time I've met you and stuff. So you were married for 20 years, and so how many kids do you have?
My wife and I have three daughters. That's it for me. I have three daughters by my wife. I have no other children outside of that marriage. That's it for us.
Okay.
So yes, that's. I mean, you have to clarify those things these days, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
so I have three daughters with my beautiful wife. That's it.
That's it. Okay, great. And can you tell us like, how did you meet your wife?
That's a good question. Thanks. So my wife and I met in church. Now you're like, oh wow, that explains it. It does explain it. That's exactly why. I attribute everything that I've done and the way I treat my wife and the way my wife treats me to God, 100%. In the story, that's it. My wife and I were talking about this the other day. We were like, we're grateful for each other, and we're grateful that we met the way we did and where we met. So, and I'm talking to my wife about this. Okay,
Right.
so yeah, so we met in church in the mid 1990s, around 93. My wife was in college, and so wasn't I. And so we met. But the interesting thing is, my wife and I were friends. We weren't we weren't in love per se. We were just friends, and we just were like, she was like my sister. She is my sister,
Right.
not literally, but she is my sister in Christ. And so we met, and we were just friends. And I was actually headed to Atlanta to finish school, and I was going to do an internship at CNN. And I had a focus. I'm focused.
Right.
And then amazingly at the same time, and the amazing thing is a lot of our circle saw it before we did, and they were like, hey, you ever thought about her? And I'm like, no, wait, that's my friend. She's like my sister. Serious, this is a true story. You guys go ask. And they were like, and I was like, no. And then amazingly at the same time, we fell in love at that. I mean, almost like, I don't know, it must have been to the second. If God were involved, it was to the second, which I believe it was. So we fell in love, and now we got engaged in 99, and No, we actually got married, got engaged and married within 7 months. So yeah, we dated from about '98 to 2000, and then in the summer of 2000, maybe a little earlier than that, we got engaged, and we got married December 2nd, and here we are to this day.
Okay, so how long were you actually engaged for?
The 7 months.
7 months.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're Christians. We're still Christians, and so we did it God's way. And so my wife moved in. In fact, right close to here, my wife moved in to the place that we were going to own. We're living together. When we came back from our honeymoon, she lived there first. I moved in when we got married. That's how we did it.
Okay, good.
That's strange to a lot of people. Then that's fine. Maybe that explains why we're married 20 years.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway.
No, I understand. Well, for me, I know you said you watch my videos, and in a couple of my videos, I had said, remember one of my videos, my mom mentioned me, telling me as far as not living anywhere near the in-laws. Okay, that's one of the, I always remember my mom saying that as a kid, because she went through a lot with my father's parents, always, not so much the parents, but sisters and brothers, always in their business. So, can I ask you, do you guys live anywhere near your in-laws?
Well, we do not. Well, no. I mean, I don't. That's relative. We live in the same city as our in-laws. We don't live down the street. We don't live in the same complex. Not anything like that. And yeah, so we do not. So in that way. Yes.
Okay, yeah, good. So, what do you contribute to having a successful 20-year marriage?
Well, one, our marriage isn't perfect. Okay, so we have to work at it. When they say marriage is work or hard work, it is. It is. If you're not willing to work, then don't get married. It's the truth. Don't get married. Stay single. But if you want to get married, then you gotta be. There gotta be compromises. You have to work through things. So what do I attribute marriage to? Love and respect. There's got to be compromise. It just is. I mean, you're two imperfect people trying to form a perfect union. And so, therefore, without actually some concessions by both of you, it's not going to work out. And it's no wonder half of marriages. And I attribute everything that I am to God. Mm-hmm. God's given me a standard. He said, this is how you should do it. And that's the way I do it. Right. And seemingly it works. So I'm just saying that's for us. That's what in fact, I was telling my wife, we were talking the other day about these very things. We talk about this stuff as marrieds, right? Honestly, we talk about it because we're like, thank God we have each other. I'm just being honest with you. And so we talked about it, and she's like, I don't even recommend anybody get married without God. And me either. Because left to your own vices, left to your own natures, left to your own selfishness, left to your own desires, it doesn't work. And you know what? The statistics bear that out. So you need God. You know what? Forget all that other stuff. You need God. Out in that with that.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Because I never really shared a whole lot about my second marriage, but on my second marriage, actually, my wife and I were like best friends for like 7 years, and we lived here in Boston. She was originally from Cleveland, and I mean, we had some problems, but nothing major, and we was like two peas in a pot, always out together, always spending time together. It was just like, you wherever you see her, you would see me. We were just so tight, and I think my mistake was, and my parents said the same things, and friends all said the same thing, is when we moved to Cleveland, not too far from a family, and I come to find out that everybody was like all in our business. So that's why I was asking the questions, because she had a lot of people in her family that were haters, and they were always in our business. So that's one of the things I talk about in my videos, is that it's best to be real careful as far as who your ladies hanging out with, because mine also had girlfriends that were haters, that there was divorce, and it was like they always had something to say. Always, giving her advice. How can someone give you advice and they don't have a man, they're not married, and they're divorced, but yet um, she would listen to it. Um, so you must have a strong, which is important too, is that your wife has to be really strong, not to listen and pay attention to all her friends because there's a lot of people out there, girlfriends and stuff too, may be jealous and create problems. Like misery loves company.
Yeah, misery loves it. That's a true statement.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. You gotta put God first, and there's gotta be a lot of communication. Communication is important, and I think for us, communication broke down because she was able to go and talk more to her whenever there's a problem. Talk more to her sisters and get advice, and her aunts and get negative advice. So it seems like you guys got a really good relationship where you can sit down and talk whenever there's a problem. You don't let people get into you. I mean, well, I can't. Can you elaborate as far as if there's an issue, how do you guys handle it? Do you just sit down and?
Yeah. And maybe people have a problem with this, but I'm the leader of my marriage. Okay, I am. My wife is okay with that, right?
Okay.
Now, my wife's a strong woman. My wife.
Good.
If I tell you what my wife does, you go, "Oh, Dad."
Yeah.
All right. My wife is a strong woman, well educated, as am I. Okay, so I'm not. I don't have a pushover wife, but my wife allows me to lead. She really does. She does. She's not vying for my position. She's not struggling with me. She's not like, trying to run over me. Believe me, as a black man, I have war out there. I don't need war in my house, right? I mean, am I making sense? Right? So, but she doesn't war on me. My wife is my biggest supporter. Listen, I'm not painting everything like everything is roses. Okay, we have to struggle just like anybody else to get to it. We are happily married. If you go and ask her, she'll say the same thing because you're getting my side, but you'll get it from her as well. All right. Will she say that my husband's perfect? No. We go to the Bible. We have other people in our lives who are successfully married who help us.
Good. I'm glad you said
Who
that.
help us? Women who love God, women who love their husbands, women who have a standard. That's how it should be done. That's why it's falling apart in the world. And now you may say, no, and that's fine. But half marriage are ended in divorce. I can line up. I can fill this place up right now with men who love their wives. And I can fill this place up that we're at right now. We're at a restaurant. I can fill it up with men I know personally who love their wives, who are committed to their wife, who haven't stepped out on their wives. Okay? And I'm just being honest with you. I've never stepped out on my wife. I'll say that on camera and before God. I've never stepped out on her. Never. I won't either. You want to know why? Because one day I'm going to stand before God and he's going to ask me about it. My standard is not humans. My standard is there. And so therefore, if I'm going to stand before God one day and give an account for my life, what am I going to say? Oh, the woman that gave me wasn't enough, God. I needed to go somewhere else and get something else. Paul Newman said like this. Paul Newman, the great actor, said this. He said, listen, why would I go and get hamburger when I got steak at home? I got steak at home, so I'm not. Anyway, I got off on a tangent. So forgive me. But yeah, so my wife surrounds herself with godly women who help her to be godly, who help her to be, and as do I. I got to talk to the men. Like, look here, this woman, man, she's making me mad right now.
Right.
And they're like, hey, look here, bro. This is what it is. So that's what it is.
No. I'm glad you brought that up. I agree with that 100%. Because I have another friend who I've known for a long time. And at first, when I came back after my second divorce, and we still kind of talk, but he kept telling me, you need to go back and get that marriage, pull that marriage back together. And I'm like, no, man, I'm telling you, this is over. And so he really didn't want to talk with me. He really didn't want to socialize with me. He only wanted to socialize with people that was married. And I was kind of upset. Like, come on, man, we've known each other from high school. So for a while, he stopped talking to me. But slowly, we started talking. And so whenever I talk about dating and going out, he really doesn't want to hear that. But it took him a long time to realize that, hey, I've done everything to make this marriage work. It's not going to work. I need to move on. I'm not going to go crazy trying to make somebody be with me who's feeling that they can find better. And so we're at a point right now where me and him we can hang out and we can talk. I can tell I'm dating now. He accepts it. But I agree with you. You have to surround. If you're married, you need to surround yourself with other married people that's positive. That's going to keep you strong. It's not that you can't have single friends, but if you got single friends that's going to try to influence you and say stuff
Well,
to
they're
like,
trying to bring their bad stuff
right,
to you, right?
exactly.
You said it earlier. You said misery loves
Exactly.
company,
Misery loves
right?
company.
Well, there it is.
Exactly, because there's a lot. So whenever I'm talking with guys and they're married and they're saying positive things, I'm not gonna say to them, "Oh man, that's not gonna work, man. She's gonna be cheating on you soon, man. You better watch out for it." I just don't do that. I'm not that type of brother and stuff. Okay, I'm not that type of brother. So yeah, so I agree with you 100% with that. So
What I don't want to do is I don't want to paint it as if like we're perfect. We are not. We have to struggle just like any other couple, right?
but
The only thing is we have a standard. There have been times where I haven't gotten along with my wife. There have been times where we've been giving each other the silent treatment. But I always, me as a man, I always initiate. For me, you know what it is? This is what it is. I've been given one woman for this life, right? I'm not going for any other woman. I don't want any other woman. There are beautiful women out there, yes, great. But I built a life with this woman. I sleep next to her every day in the same bed, right next to her every day. There's no couch. I'm a man's man. There's no couch for me. There's my bed. No, I'm not trying to be, you know, bravado or anything like that.
Yeah.
But there's no couch for me. But my wife's not the kind of woman that wants me to sleep on the couch, even when we're not close. I'm still in the same bed,
yeah.
right? I mean, that whole couch thing doesn't make any sense to me. So wait, anyway, I'm gonna get up on a tangent. Sorry. Now you're gonna get me started. Now I'm gonna talk. So I don't want to talk. Okay, I don't want to talk.
No.
But anyway, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No.
I apologize.
No. I have a question. It just slipped my mind and stuff.
All right, I'm sorry.
But, let me see if I can get this question back in my mind and stuff. But oh, so is your wife? Is she Black American?
She is not. She is Latina. She's Latina and Cape Verdean. Her father is from Cape Verde. If you don't know where Cape Verde is, off the west coast of Africa. I don't know if that's black enough for you, but it's off the west coast of Africa. And her mom is from, Puerto Rico. So yes, my wife is first generation both sides.
Okay. So before meeting your wife, did you? I'm assuming you did meet and date Black American women.
Yes, the woman who was in church before we all knew each other. In fact, the woman that I was dating in the mid '90s, before I actually liked my wife, we were all friends. She was Black American, African American from Louisiana. So yeah, so I'm gonna just talk about this for a second. My wife is my wife, and I love my wife. Human women were in play for me, not particular women, right? I love my wife because I loved her quality. It wasn't her race, it wasn't her ethnicity, it was her color. It was her love for God. If my wife were African American and she had those qualities, then I would have fell in love with her. So I didn't choose my wife for her ethnicity. I chose my wife because she was who we. Now, some people are like, that's on you. I love my wife. I believe God gave me my wife. So if you have a problem with who God gave me, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I agree with you. So, in closing, let me ask you and stuff because I don't want to keep you too long. So, what would you say is a good place to meet or to find a good woman? Would you say in church? Because I know for me, and I guess it depends also the church. I know before at times I've gone to church and I found women in church that had a lot of issues. That had a lot of issues, and that's why they was in church. They were worse than women that weren't in church.
You didn't think why are you even in church? That's all you were thinking, right? Why do you go to church?
Yeah,
you just go here on Sunday and then you resume your rest of your life the rest of the week, right?
Right, exactly.
Yes, okay, yes.
Yeah. I would. I experienced that a lot. I would like see some really nice young ladies at church, and I'll talk to them, and they'll be telling me this and that, and I'm like, okay, I'll try to take it easy because we're in church, be respectful, and then I'll come to find out I'll see them in the nightclub doing something all crazy, so and I go to them like, yo, don't you go to so church? So I found, for me, I'm not saying everyone. For me, fighting in church, I've never been lucky, but I always found the ones that had problems, and that's why they was in church. But how do you? I know again, that's just for me. What do you suggest as far as how to look or meet a nice young lady? Do you think by introductions, friends, or family members, finding someone, or
I
just
think
leaving it in God's hands?
you can't just leave it in God's hand. Faith without deeds is dead. Right. So you can. I don't. God's gonna send me a man. No, where we go find him. God's got him, but he's over there. But you're over there. So no, this is right. Faith without deeds is dead. So you must have deeds along with the faith that you have. That's just biblical. What do I believe again? I do think. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody's church. I just am not. But all churches are not equal. And all churches are not equal in terms of what they call their members to do. My church calls me to love God. They call me to walk with God. They call me to repent of my sin. They call me to love my wife. They call me to read the scriptures every day. That's why I'm in this church. I've been there since '88. So basically, it's not a perfect church. Not a perfect church or whatever. But for me, what kind of woman do you want? If you want a woman who's hanging out at a bar, then go to the bar and get her.
Oh, good.
I don't mean that. I'm not saying
like
anything wrong. There's
Okay.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
But if that's where you want your woman to come from, so me, that's not for me. But we all have choices on our lives and what we want to do, what we want. I wanted a woman who was wholesome. I wanted a woman who was feminine. I wanted a woman who was family oriented. I wanted a woman who was goal oriented, and I got that. But I found my woman. I don't know. I found my wife. I don't say my woman, but I respect my wife. I found my wife in church, but I was doing the right thing. I was trying to walk with God. I was trying to do what is right. I was trying to really deal with my own sin in my life. I was trying to and so wasn't she. And they amazingly found each other, right? And the amazing thing is, the men that I walk with, the men that I mess with, meaning in terms of who are my friends in my circle, they're all like me. You usually flock to the men that are like you, and I do. And all the men that I know are well educated, or not necessarily degrees, but they are well educated in this world. They love their wives. They struggle, and we talk to each other. And we go, oh yeah, I've been struggling or whatever. I am not a perfect man, but. So church, the right church stuff, just to be honest, because like you said, you found women that were at the club last night, and then they're at church on Saturday. My wife wasn't at the club last night. She was with me. You see what I'm saying? She wasn't at the club. She ain't never been to the club. She don't want anything to do with the club. She don't want to do anything with people that are at the club, unless they want to come to church with us and study the Bible. That's what my wife wants, and that's what I want too.
Right. So you can't really go to a club, a night
No,
club.
not that you can't.
Okay.
Not that you can't. Not that you. It's just what are you looking for? Who's at the club? If that's the kind of woman you want, then that's
Right.
fine. And I don't mean that in any pejorative way. Mm-hmm. I mean that as in but for me, my wife wasn't going to be found at the club. That's just me, and I love the club. I've been in the club in 30 years, but I love the club. I love to get it in, but. I love my wife more, and I love the life that my wife and I have built more.
Good. I like that. I like what you had to say. All right. Well, I want to thank you again for being here. You dropped a lot of good knowledge, and guys, remember what he said. He gave us a lot of good information. Okay. So thank you for joining me. If you're new to my channel, again, my name is Agymah, and this is my world. Take care, guys. Peace.
You guys.